Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got play props on Tuesday, 8 in-season tournament games to choose from here after a poopy Monday night slate that we did not do super well on. Still went 2-1 in the play props, and I know that Joker was going under 10 assists if he had played, so let's call it 3-1 hypothetically, but we move along here on Tuesday night with plenty more to choose from, a lot better games, like we said. Continue to follow along, like, and subscribe to that page. We've got best bets in another video up for you, bringing you the play of props here, like I mentioned. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Use that prop finder tool that we have up on the site as well. Nate and I do every single day. Make sure we're getting the best juice on all these bets that we're giving you guys this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get into your first play of prop, my boy, DG, the PG.
Yeah, Darius Garland over 19.5 points is slightly minus odds, but is a good bet against the Hawks. And you could also put a half unit, quarter unit on him to get 7 assists, which is plus odds. If you combine the two, it's juiced way down at 26.5. So I don't know if you want to go that route. You might want it all if you're going to combine them, or just bet them separately because he's been producing at home. Maybe the one concern is that he had a neck injury against the Lakers. That's why he only played a few minutes in one of his 6 home appearances this year, and that's why his numbers are skewed. He's only gone under 24 points in 2 home games this year. That was that Lakers game and against Miami, which does an excellent job limiting point guards. Averaging 20 at home this year. Last season, in a much larger sample, averaged 23 at home and 8.3 assists with a usage rate 5% higher at home. And he did return from that neck injury the next night, played 41 minutes, went for 24 and 8 against Toronto, which is a good defense against point guards. The Hawks are not. They are not a good defense anywhere, and they're maybe their 1+ defender in the backcourt, DeJounte Murray, is going to be on Donovan Mitchell, I think. So DG should continue to eat against Trae Young. He has in his last 5 against Atlanta, scoring 25 a game, 6.6 assists, despite only a 104 offensive rating. He's usually a very efficient player, but the usage rate has been so high because the Cavs are like, well, we got to attack this matchup. 33.5% usage rate, 4 of those 5 in Atlanta. And like I mentioned, we're back in Cleveland now, where the Cavs offense, a little better. Garland in particular, more productive. And that Hawks defense, 3rd most assists per game, 10 assists per game just to point guards, 3rd highest 2-point percentage, which is where Garland's going to be feeding those trees for Cleveland. They've allowed 31 assists in their last 7 games here. So give me Garland for either of those props.
I'm with it. I was looking at that as well. I hate having to choose which of these dudes in this backcourt is going to do well. But I think Darius Garland, I mean, he's gotten over this guaranteed without Donovan Mitchell coming in. But I think, with him back, it's still 20 points is a very doable line. Do still like the under in this game, but I mean, obviously, there's not very many people scoring for Cleveland right now outside of their 2 guys, as Evan Mobley also continues to be slightly unimpressive, I'll be honest, after what we expect. But yeah, I'm with you on this one. I like the points a lot. The assists should be there. It's just a matter of, like, is he the true point guard when Donovan's in there? And if they're going to rely on that, then I would buy it. But my favorite pick right now for a play a prop is going to be going to the Loon Dog. After a rough night in NBA picks and bets, Kevon Looney is always a wonderful treat to have with what I think is going to be a solid play. So I'm going after Loon Dog's assists, not his rebounds, even though I'm fine with like an 8+ rebound game, to be honest with you. It is up around 8.5 on most books for his boards. Still think it's a fine play, but the assist for Looney, especially against this team, is just like a very clear game plan for him against the Kings. Go beat up DeMontis, go get offensive rebounds, and kick it right back out to one of our 3-point shooters every time. It was the reason that we started to see him getting double-digit assists in the playoffs against this team in the first rebound because of that exact fact. So I'm doing a little ladder play because the core bet is at 2.5 assists, and I think he's good for 3. I think he might be good for 5. He's gotten 6 in both outings this year against this team, so it's still very plausible. But right now, the best I can find is actually 5+. If you want to ladder it, take 2.5 on DraftKings, take 4+ on FanDuel where you can get it, and take 5+ on DraftKings as well, which is plus 500 there. He's gone over in his last 9 of his last 13, including those playoffs I mentioned against Sacramento, and those 6 assists in both games this year. Sac is allowing the 7th most assists per game to centers this season, which I actually do buy into, outside of just like, well, centers don't assist that much, and who did they play? Well, yeah, no, this is a big stat for when you get offensive rebounds, and if you can't go back up with it because Kevon Looney's offensive game is a little bit limited, then yeah, that's going to be what you continue to do. They do allow the 12th most rebounds per game to centers, and they do have a really good defensive rebound percentage, but that is combated by Golden State's incredible offensive rebound percentage, second in second chance points this season, predominantly because of Kevon Looney and a little bit of Draymond in there on the offensive boards as well. But it's been a ton of Loon Dog. So, I think right now we're looking at 1.5. That's what we've got here. It's a pretty crazy stat on catch and shoot, but the 1.5 assists off of offensive rebounds per game on the season right now. So he's already got the 4 offensive boards a game as well. This is totally like a correlated assist rebound play, right? So if you wanted to do something like 7 boards and like 3 assists or some kind of parlay like that for him, they are very correlated. But I think the fact that he's just so good at crashing the board, like an 18% offensive rebound percentage alone for Loon Dog in his 4 games in the regular season versus the Kings last season, like there's a reason for that. And DeMontis was in all those games. I think this is a really good opportunity for him to keep doing exactly what he's done against his team since he started playing them.
Interesting. I was not aware with Mr. Looney's assist rate at all. Not on my radar, but it figures when you have you're the sun around which these 2 great shooters orbit, that all you have to do is hand the ball off sometimes or kick it out, and you might get it. You might get an assist off a 3, and now Clay is hot again, or getting hot after being ice cold. And we expect Steph to have a big game here with the in-season implications, with point differential being a factor. The Warriors don't just have to win necessarily; they have to win and score a ton of points and blow out the Kings, I think, to win this group.
Yeah.
So they should be out there gunning. And Looney, you don't get the screen assist credit, but he'll be helping the offense for sure.
Can I I want to throw one quick little bonus one out there too, because I got Chris Paul's assists as a pretty good bet as well. I don't have the number on it yet, but I would take an over like a 5+, 6+ assists for CP3. Steph needs to score. His usage rate just skyrockets when he plays the Kings. They need to win. They need to win by a lot of points. So they're going to be continuing to try to score. CP3's out there in their better offensive lineups, yada, yada. 20 potential assists in his 2 games versus Sac this year. 8 assists when Draymond was in, 12 assists versus this team when Draymond was out. And that's because, like I said, the potential assists just stay super high for him. So I think if that comes out at around 4.5, 5.5 for assists for him, definitely hit an over. I like him to get 6 or 7 in this one.
Yep. So going back to this Rockets-Dallas game, mentioned Şengün has been the most reliable Rocket on the road. His numbers are actually way higher in these 5 road games. All have been losses, but he has been out there gunning. Like the Rockets to maybe cover in this one, but either way, you can bet 30.5 points of rebounds for Mr. Şengün. You can tack on 6 assists if you want, but I don't know if that's as reliable. I think the points and rebounds are going to be reliable against Dallas. Dallas allows the 4th most points, 3rd most rebounds to centers. Derek Lively is questionable with a back issue. In their last 2 games, Dallas has allowed 108 rebounds to their opponents because of bad shooting. They've been shooting 30% from 3 in their last 3 here on the season. They're allowing the 5th most rebounds per game and 13.3 offensive rebounds per game at home. That's among the worst in the league. So Şengün going to be crashing. They also allow the 4th highest percentage on 2s. And he's been murdering people on pick and rolls as sort of the primary option for Houston in that type of action. He hasn't played big minutes against Dallas in any of his meetings, but if you project it over per 36, he's averaging 23 points, 12 rebounds in those 7 matchups against the Mavs. So also in his last 7 straight up, playing nearly 36 minutes, he's getting 22 points, 10 rebounds. That's with the outlier against Memphis, tough interior defense. Otherwise, he's averaging nearly 24 points and 10.5 rebounds. So clearing this number pretty reliably, also getting you the 5 assists if you do want to tack that on. But I think the points and rebounds is the most reliable here as you go up against Dallas.
Probably, yeah. I mean, any way you want to slice it for Mr. Şengün, like he's the focal point of the offense for sure. The assists are never a bad idea. They keep getting higher. for his prop, but like there's a reason for it. For baby Jokic, you can dime up. So any way you want to take Şengün tonight in a game that is just not going to have much to stop him with that Mavericks front court, like you said, then I'm totally with it. I'm going to go under. A little bit scary, maybe a little bit scary, but I did this twice last season where I faded Dame against the Heat. So I'm going to go back to it, even though he's on the Bucks now. So Damian Lillard under 26.5 points versus Miami in this one. You mentioned it at the top. Miami needs this game if they want the in-season tournament at all. Milwaukee does not necessarily. I mean, they probably want to stay atop the division, so I'm sure they're still trying. But they are 3-0 in the tournament right now, and they're well atop their division there. His last 4 versus Miami, a little bit skewed by a really bad outing that only saw him have 12 points, but I mean, he still played 28 minutes in that game, only 12 points. So in the last 4, fewer than 20 points per game on a 40% field goal shooting and 35% from deep, still decent from there. But I also just, for the under, love the fact that he's only getting to the free throw line 7 times per game, actually 6.8 against this Miami Heat team in those last 4. They do obviously an awesome job of defending without fouling, does Miami. We've seen that for years now, basically since Spo's been there. And the usage for Dame, it's basically the same. Now, he averaged a 27% usage in 33 minutes per game over his last 4 versus this team. He's got a 29% usage rate in 34 minutes a game this year, which is hilarious as I think about it. Like, he's got a higher usage on this Milwaukee Bucks team than he did on the Trailblazers, at least for this matchup, not necessarily in general. But the point is like, this is not a good matchup for him. Kyle Lowry has done an incredible job on him. Yes, I said Kyle Lowry has done an incredible job on him. We've seen some Jimmy Butler on him. Haywood Highsmith, if he's in, should have a turn at defending him. He's been one of their best wing defenders for sure this season. I mean, he's got the best defensive on-off-court defensive rating splits for any dude with legit minutes outside of Jimmy Butler on this Miami Heat squad. So that would be a huge, awesome thing for us in this under if Lillard has another defender like Highsmith on him. Still could play. We'll see. But just as important, like even if he's not in there on the season, Miami's limiting point guards to the 6th fewest points per game. It's been their MO for a while now. Honestly, he's like, stop the dude at the head of the attack. He's open for threes. Like, they give up a few threes to point guards because of the way that their defense flows and keeps everything from getting too close to the rim, which means at times there might be a kick out for Giannis for 3 for Dame, and that's one of the plays that you worry about. But what you don't worry about is Dame just taking his man off the dribble without having help D before he even gets, past the foul line. If you stop Dame's momentum before he gets inside the foul line, you're still in a good position to stop him, even if he gets by his defender. So that's obviously something Eric Spoelstra knows way better than I do. And that's a huge part of why I think it's been like a Spo versus Dame matchup, just as much as a Dame versus the point guard on the other team matchup. And so I think this is just another good opportunity to fade him. If I look stupid, I look stupid. Dame's can if you take an under for a Dame Lillard, he could drop 38 and you look silly. But I still think that under 27 points in a game that he hasn't done that in the last 4 matchups, pretty good bet.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. The one correction is Milwaukee does need this game. They win the group if they win the game. So they're
because they're in the same group.
Yeah. So they can wrap it up if they get this one. That doesn't just necessarily mean you get it. That doesn't mean Miami is going to roll over, because I mean, what does Miami love more than an elimination game type of scenario and pretending this is the playoffs and guarding Lillard with everything they have. So I think it actually, the stakes play into it more. 27 points is a lot in a game like this, which has a 225 total and which has, a really good defense going up against Lillard. And he just hasn't been that kind of like 38-point explosion that we seen when he was just the man, because now he's playing, alongside another MVP candidate. So it makes sense to go under here.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a better play. I love the reference of Miami losing their first play-in tournament game last year and then winning their second one and making it all the way to the finals. This team is an enigma, but that's all the time we have on Play Up Props for you guys. Give you a little bonus one in there too with the Chris Paul assist if you like that. So continue to follow along. Check out the best bets video that we have up by liking and subscribing to that page. Until we see you next, happy betting.